What's going on, guys? Rich back here again, and I've been gone for a little bit, and there's no excuse for that. But I want to talk about the current meta of the Gundam Card Game. We are currently at our 1 year anniversary of the game, and we've had a few regionals. Well, maybe a regionals, and you see on the screen we had one in Rotterdam at 230 players, 8 rounds. We had a few. So far, we're currently at the halfway point of the new type challenge season, with the star decks dropping next month. Will shake things up for sure. But right now, as you can see, we have quite a bit of like decks out there just putting in work, and the meta has kind of defined itself. Well, not fully, but we have a couple decks that I want to talk about. Clearly, we are looking at a meta. I call it a triangle meta. Okay, there's like generally there are like three decks that play at the top range and they kind of beat each other, right? And right now we are looking at, and this is my opinion, not because it's overrepresented, but like new Gundam with Amuros with blue green Amuro, Strike Freedom white blue, and Char Zaku. So Char purple green, or Char purple blue. So it's looking pretty interesting. So this goes in line with the 1 year war aggro. How aggro's not dead. People need to stop thinking aggro's dead when that's far from the truth, and understand how to possibly deal with it at an event. Because aggro can knock you out in like 4 turns if you don't play properly, or just don't build accordingly, right? To deal with aggro. But anyway, let's talk about this very quick. Right? So we have New Gundam here, which is defined by obviously New Gundam, and and we could go do some decks and such. This one here, obviously, so New Gundam, and this deck right here is the one that's been pin and work. Honestly, it keeps it's kind of aggro to a degree. A lot of like early costs. We have the classic Zaku breaker, base breaker, the Zaku, which is apparently now is a pretty pricey card for a playset. Wow, I did not know that. Um, and we have a couple other cards in here. Obviously, we have the Rigidity, which searches for Yolando Bell cards. We have the NT1, which with this Amuro is kind of insane. You heal 4. We also have the classic Amuro, which is still one of the best pilots in the game for resting and pushing base. We're playing, well, not me, but they're playing 2 Rock and 2 Corsair base for the Talking Silkins or the Leos. This is pretty much a standard package for what this deck is. This deck is pretty much defined. I have seen lists that have dropped this card or have dropped it down to 2. I think being at 2 works pretty well because you're only going to probably want to ramp once anyway, because it checks Rondo Bells. So I mean, obviously the cards, including the base. So pretty consistent list, honestly. This deck has an issue. Obviously, if you don't see this, the deck kind of falls apart. You're probably not going to win, which it's kind of bad, honestly. Like most decks, your boss must supposed to close the game out. But this thing is so impactful to the point where most decks that can play white have teched in Argama to mitigate the damage from breach because it actually nullifies it altogether, or they have moved to playing 6 HP bases just to deal with the 2 attacks from New Gundam if you play properly. So I think New Gundam is a good deck that requires a nice skill check, and you have to build knowing that you will see it for sure. It's a popular deck. Amuro will never not be a popular pilot in this game. He is flexible in almost anything blue. I mean, honestly, if you're playing blue, you're probably playing Amuro to some degree. And yeah, Amuro Gun is still one of the best link pairs to do in the game. Yeah, so that's a pretty good list right there. We could look at the Strike Freedom list, which won, and this is the one that's been seeing a lot of play. This is the Victory engine. So a lot of times, right, people can't seem to get to their Strike Freedom, but Kira does it well because Kira has a wall of blockers. So you can play the blockers down, and you can then play Uso behind one of his Victory units, and you can be drawn up a storm, which is really, really, really important. And obviously, right, you play the new Kira, which you play on a orb unit, you draw a card. In this deck, it looks like there's only like just one orb unit, and that's to Strike Freedom. So you draw just once when you link with him. So you're probably like you really don't want to link, I guess, this Kira on this Ail Strike, but you can if you have to. Uh, Surprisingly, this deck is not playing the 3/4 orb blocker. which would actually link with Kira and make it get the draw from as well. But you know what, we can't have everything, But it runs the two Argama and the three Reinforced Junior to get the lake parts, which is very important to give Uso the victory engine online, which is pretty neat. And obviously, V dash is one of the best things in the victory engine as well. Resting something is really important to push. So you rest, you clear, and Straight Freedom is just such a boss. Honestly, I think that this card is cool, but I have my issues with this card. I feel like when it comes to the cards from Seed, Bandai just says they don't care about restrictions or rulings on these things. They just give everything that they need. And the fact that Strike Freedom can just discard two from hand to send something back to the bottom is actually kind of wild. Up to me, it would have been to keep it on theme, discard two Orbians or two Triple Alliance units from your hand to make it work, but that's Bandai's logic, just to say, and that makes the fact that and that makes this card playable in any deck. Like the Amuro is not insanely. I mean, it's strong. It's super strong. It can surprise kill you, but it's locked behind Londo Bell. Like you can't get that attack off unless you have like Londo Bell units in the trash, right? Which makes it a good balance, right? It forces you to play within your archetype. Strike Freedom does not. This is just a blue card that just goes with any deck. You go Strike Freedom and you go Kira Yamato and boom, there you go. And you just get it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this the design of the card. It's a cool card, but I think it's actually kind of unhealthy for me to be so generically good. And I think we have to move to the I don't know, a place where just generically dot good cards and deck just to stop. Honestly, it takes away from the theme of the game and makes. I'm a person who plays on theme, and it makes the game kind of like boring sometimes. You're like, oh, you play like 1,000 cards, and you just play. Oh, by the way, my top end Strike Freedom because it's blue and it's strong, and why not, right? So, okay, enough complaining about that. If we look over here, we have one of the dark horses of the game right now, and it's just Shining Gundam, the mobile fighter deck. This deck looks pretty. People have been playing this deck a little differently, right? I mean, for the most part, this is a pretty much agreed upon build. People have been running a lot of the aerials lately to recur the commands like Darkest Finger, Shining Finger, and the Chippity Cyclone Punch, which is one of the actual engines of the deck. Chibbity and Maxter on KO, well, when KO is like a unit, can search for your Mo Fighter commands, which is surprisingly right in this deck. There's not a lot, honestly. I feel like you might miss more than you would hit. Not looking at this list, and I don't know. I mean, even checking top four, like yeah, Chibbity checks, yeah, especially with command cards. So he's searching 7, 10. So he's searching 10 cards for four. I guess it's not too bad, but like a lot of people actually will play around this thing. So that's why people play the Rising Gundam, obviously because it's a great link, but also because it rests the unit and then Chibi can like swing into it, and then he can get the effect off and search his cards. Um, I did, I do know. I mean, it looks like they're trying to move to the master. I feel like I feel like Domon just and Shining Gundam just recurs this more on brand than this, but this is pretty good because you can get back any command card, so you can pair something, play Domon, draw, drop something, get the effect off, and then you can get back one of these bad boys, which is kind of nice actually. Or you can also do Domon skill, and you can resolve this first, then resolve Aerial, and then get the card back to your hand, so you can play it kind of twice. It's kind of clean. So yeah, I see the benefit in this. It's pretty good. And obviously, Shining Fingers super strong to rest something, and also to give the Shining Gun a first strike is really important. Airframe Seizure for affection, amazing draw cards. Airframe Seizure to discard a mobile fighter that can be dead, discard the Shining Gun most likely to recur your commands, or for affection to do the same thing. Really strong. This deck is really strong. If you don't play against it, this deck can actually just steamroll you because once they get to like Master, it's kind of over. Master having pseudo suppression is it's really strong. And this deck is funny because Argama actually will stop Master's effect from going off, so it's pretty neat. Really strong deck. Now, where does the game go from here? I think this game is in a pretty good place. I'm gonna look at this one more deck, right? This does the Zaku Rush. This runs the Tekka engine, Mikazuki, It's just Mikazuki and his burn package, his ping package. That's it. And rest is a Xeon. So basically, like it basically is a Xeon deck with some like ping. Mikazuki being probably the best pilot for purple still, because you play him and he just interacts with the board and you can't do anything about it. Obviously, you play him, he can ping down one of your little weenies or whatever, and then you go ham. And obviously, this is all oops all Char, plus Mikazuki, really really strong. This is another deck that can steamroll you early if you don't play smart enough. And also, this deck plays a lot of cards that replace themselves. You play a base with Famel, you get a token. You play Zanzibar, you play a unit. So it's really, really consistent. And also, they play a lot of early to the ground units, and then they overwhelm you with power. So it's really good deck. I have no notes for this at all. This is a good deck. Char would never not be a bad pilot because a high maneuver will always be a thing, and also he's always going to be a consistent base cracker, and I like it. This is a good deck. So, where does the game go? Like I said, where does the game go from here? The game is in a good spot right now. I think from even this right here. I mean, obviously, this is basically just a lot of the same decks are just being played, like the top three decks, right? But you can still go out there and play one of your Dark Horse or Rogue decks and still have a good time. I think there is, I think the power creep in this game kind of hit. I mean, all at once. I mean, if you notice on this list as well, you don't see any wing. And Wing was like consistently on the tournament page every single event. Like you see Wing in some capacity, right? Be Wing White, be maybe just some sort of like Wing Blue. It doesn't matter, some sort of Wing list, right? And now we don't see it because Wing kind of got power crept out. Not fully, but I mean, you look at Strike Freedom, which interacts with the board and sends your cards back, right? But then you have Wing Zero, which is a 8/8, and then you tap out pretty hard. Or Strike Freedom, you play it for 6, and you can then still make other plays happen. I think the power creep for Wing happened, and I don't know what has to happen to make that deck more consistent. Other decks as well, which we can talk about, which is not on the list, that possibly can do pretty well if played right, would be it would be probably Destiny has a decent opportunity, but once again, it's not a deck that falls apart to Strike Freedom because a lot of their cards right require you to work for the trash. Strike Freedom sends it back to the bottom of the deck, so you kind of lose out on the whole that whole appeal of recurring units from the trash for Minerva Squad units. But does it not mean that it's like the end of it though too. So I mean we are this deck. The game is in a good spot. This meta, surprisingly, even though once again these decks are like I call it the triangle. This game is much healthier than it was last year, and hopefully they keep supporting all archetypes. As a CB enjoyer, main, I hope that in set 6, 7, and onward, right, that other archetypes and groups get the support because right now it feels like a, it's a lot of seed and a lot of like Universe Century, like Amuro gets support almost every set in Char. We're literally up to 4 Chars now in this game, and we only have like one Mikazuki. We just got a second hero. We're coming up again now with Duroslit and Mercury. I mean, we definitely need more pilots to make other decks work. Like I would love to get another Setsuna, either in red or hell, even I will even green, but I don't think CB should be any more colors. That's a little bit too much, not at this point. But I'll leave it there. I think the last thing I do want to add on is that even though these decks are winning and they're going out there, they're topping, right? If you go to a new type challenge, right, expect to see one of these 3 decks at a minimum, maybe 4, including the mobile fighter decks, right? Just I say lab with your group, right? Watch the videos on YouTube, right? Look at look at these lists and know how most of these lists are going to be looking like, and build your deck right that can handle these threats. Okay, and I wish you guys best luck in your challenges and hope you guys do well.